BHP has increased its takeover bid for the South African mining giant Anglo American by around $10 billion. But that offer has been again rejected. Business Editor Ross Greenwood joins me now. Hey there, Ross. So this deal is now massive. What's at the bottom of it?
Really, it's all about copper, Leigh, and that's what they really want. And that's because of the energy transformation. Copper is instrumental to the energy transformation. BHP wants to be the biggest in the world in copper, as well as one of the biggest in the world in iron ore. And so as a result, Anglo American has both of those. And so what originally happened was its first takeover bid of around $64 billion was rejected. But then Anglo American came back and really decided to create almost the same deal, splitting off assets and so forth. But this is just to give you some sense of the scale of it. So the offer now, the new one that's just been rejected for Anglo American, is $73.9 billion. That's what BHP would pay. But compare that with some other big Australian companies that you know very well. Wesfarmers, that owns Bunnings, is worth $76 billion. Macquarie Bank is worth $71 billion. Woolworths worth $39 billion. So that gives you just a sense of the scale of all of this. If we have a quick look at the share prices of these companies, what you'll see is also some compounding and contrasting things. So this is BHP overnight up by about 0.4%, and Anglo American shares also up just a little bit overnight. So neither of them really reacting much, but you would imagine that those Anglo American shares will become stronger simply because of this increased offer, and also the likelihood that if it doesn't actually accept this offer, it ultimately will break itself up.
And speaking of energy transformation, Ross, the New South Wales government just announced it does need coal-fired power in the short term and will keep Eraring, that coal-fired power station, open for another 2 years. So what does it mean for the energy transition?
Well, I've got to tell you, Leigh, this is almost the most obvious thing that was ever going to happen, because if you took Eraring out too soon, the energy system and grid was going to become unstable. There's no doubt. And prices, again, would have risked going and spiking. So the New South Wales government has come in and done a deal with Origin. This has been a long time in the making, goes across a couple of governments. So just to explain the deal, effectively, if Eraring, the power station, makes a profit, then 20% of that profit will go to New South Wales to a maximum of $40 million a year. Now, Eraring, if it loses money, then effectively the state government will subsidise Origin Energy to the maximum of $225 million a year. So in other words, most likely, depending on which way power prices go, it is likely it will lose money, and therefore, as a result, the New South Wales government will subsidise Origin for keeping it open. But they've given a hard deadline for when Eraring will close in 2029. And this really is the reality of not having sufficient renewables in the system, not having sufficient electricity in the system and gas-fired power stations. And so the consequence of the coal-fired power station must stay open for a couple more years.
Thanks for breaking that down for us. And a final one, the computer chip maker and also investor darling that's at the centre of the new artificial intelligence boom, NVIDIA, keeps shooting the lights out.
Oh, shooting the lights out. So its results came out overnight, its quarterly results, and they are absolutely stellar. So to give you a little sense of what this is all about, just have a little look at this. This is after hours trading. Share price is up by some 6%, and they're already, as you know, it's worth more than $2 trillion and is one of the most valuable companies in the world. But its sales during this quarter were $26 billion US, and that's 3 times more than what it was a year ago. But it's when you go to its net profit, in other words, after it's paid its tax, after it's paid everything, its net profit during this period of time has come in at $14.8 billion, right? So $14.8 billion in just 12 weeks. And that compares with 12 months ago that NVIDIA in the same quarter last year made $2 billion. So its profits in the space of 1 year have gone up by some 7 times, 700%. And that is all off the back that it is really NVIDIA that is the maker of the chips that really create the generative artificial intelligence. And so you've got all of the big tech companies in the world, from Meta to Google to Amazon, buying up as many of these chips as they possibly can and as quickly as they can, simply so that they can also become a part of this artificial intelligence generation.
$14 billion, just printing money. Thanks so much for that, Ross.